Hello and welcome to Why Design. I'm your host Chris White, and today is a little different. It's my first ever in-person podcast recording, which we recorded a few weeks ago at Blue Garage in Lewisham, a makespace and community hub created by today's guest, Michael Korn. Now, for full transparency, this was also a solid reminder of why you should always hire the professionals. We spent well over an hour and a half battling with recording equipment, only to discover afterwards that my microphone didn't work at all, so please bear with the dodgy audio on my side. Lesson learned. Next time I'll be booking a proper podcast studio. That said, Blue Garage is a brilliant space, so definitely check it out if you're in the area. As for Michael, he's the founder of KwickScreen, the healthcare-focused modular screen company that grew from his time at the RCA and now supplies every NHS trust. He's also the driving force behind Blue Garage, building a space that gives hardware entrepreneurs and designers the resources he'd wished he'd had when he was starting out. In this conversation, we talk about how manufacturing shaped his design thinking, what it really takes to build a product business in London, and why listening and persistence have been the key ingredients to his journey. If you're curious about bootstrapping hardware ventures, building creative communities, or navigating the gritty side of entrepreneurship, this one's for you. So let's get into it. So, Michael, I usually at this point say welcome to the podcast. As we're in your space, perhaps you could...
Welcome to Blue Garage, Chris, and our latest podcast studio that you have set up.
Yes, a makeshift studio. As I could say, it's the first live in-person podcast. We're at Blue Garage, KwickScreen Blue Garage with Michael Korn. Michael, I'm going to do my best to do a little intro. Please butt in if I get any of this wrong. But start off, you're an industrial design engineering entrepreneur with a strong track record in founding and leading innovative ventures. Co-founder of KwickScreen, which is where we are today, a company that manufactures retractable screens for healthcare environments. Nicely done.
And podcast backdrops.
Yeah. For those listening, we are currently in the showroom, the great space, big open space at KwickScreen. One of the KwickScreen units is behind Michael here. We've got one creating a little private space. So yeah, it's fantastic use of the space. You're also founder of Blue Garage, which is downstairs, and I see some of the tenants are over there testing out one of their units as well. So members.
Yeah, this is a community, and once you join the community, this is your home. So that they're all making the most of all the facilities in the building, including the studio spaces that we're in now.
I've been a couple of times now, and it's a really cool open space, and the workshops downstairs are fantastic. So yeah, Blue Garage makespace, community co-working hub. Like a WeWork, but with machines. Maybe we can't patent that. But then, yeah, you talk about community. I've been here a few times on events, which is, you continue to do that. You're actual, as a designer, is industrial design, product innovation, and you also founded Signabridge. If you want to talk about that, or we can work on non-invasive treatment for depression. Is that?
Yeah, well, one of the things about being an inventor founder is I'm good at starting things. So no, that's still going. The thing I'd like to talk about are the product design businesses that I've started, and even the ones that I've started that haven't succeeded. That one's tangential. But I talk about everything. It's wonderful. I mean, my passion. But before being a industrial designer, I was a manufacturing engineer. That was what I trained as, and I think that's still deep in me. So people come to product design from all different backgrounds and perspectives, and I was at the Royal College of Art. So for some people at the industrial design engineering course, now called the innovation design engineering course, for some of them that was a technical experience. For me it was the opposite, because I'd come from an engineering degree that was very academic, and so it was a chance to finally explore my creativity that I didn't have the chance to throughout my whole education before that. But that I don't know, scientific rigor and also entrepreneurial approach with manufacturing in mind has always stuck with me, such that the products that I've been involved in, I've thought about how can we actually build a factory to make this and a business to make it viable, and the hustle to go out and sell it and understand the people. So my entrance, my concentric circle to being a product designer is being a manufacturing engineer and an entrepreneur.
Interesting, because I speak to a lot of people in my line of work where they do it the other way around. They are very creative, they make the industrial design, product design, and then they have to learn the manufacturing side in the real world, so to speak. So coming from that angle, it's quite interesting. And you picked up a bunch of awards along the way as well. The James Dyson Award and UK winner and global runner-up. The Shell Livewire Young Entrepreneur of the Year. We're digging up some memories here.
Yeah, I'm no longer the young entrepreneur, but I'm still an entrepreneur.
Young at heart, right?
Yeah.
And you're named as one of Nesta's top 50 UK entrepreneurs in the New Radicals group, Royal Commission.
Now I'm an old radical.
There we go.
Yeah, the awards are nice, but I do think the harder thing to do is build a successful, viable business. Often that comes after the awards.
Yeah, and it's often the unrecognised bit, isn't it? The awards are kind of showy, but it's actually that goes unnoticed. That is the most rewarding, I suppose, in some respect. Let's go back to the beginning, all the way back. So we always start with why design.
It's a good name, that.
It is. So why design?
Oh, why design? Why design or why engineer? Two different things. Well, I think when I was studying before engineering, why did I want to do engineering? I think when I was choosing my degrees, I had a choice of medicine or engineering. So I didn't fancy years of exams and big bureaucratic world of being a doctor. So I chose the other alternative, which was offered to me at the time, which was engineering. But really, deep down, I loved making things. But bizarrely at my school, I wasn't allowed to do design technology because I was a bit too disruptive and high energy, which is pretty dumb, right? Because that is the best thing. But the design technology lab, you had to be very, very, very well behaved. And it meant that the slightly chaotic and high energy, undiagnosed ADHD kid that I was a liability. So all I could do was pottery. So I did pottery GCSE. You can do less damage with clay, right, than you can with like welding and drills and things. But didn't get that opportunity to really make things. I mean, I loved doing my 3-dimensional art and design GCSE. But after that, I went down the academic route. And so it was only after studying engineering and manufacturing engineering, and I went to work in a company, and the company was all based on an invention that the founder had created. And I just thought to myself, I want to build a company. I want to make a product. I want to own, I got quite into Marxism when I was at uni, and it was all about who owns the rights of production. And I thought, I want to own the rights of production. I'm not going to inherit, so I need to create value. So I want to invent something. I want to get a patent. I want to build a business, and I want to do what the chairman of this company's done, because, you're only young once. And so with that, I went to the RCA, and I literally went with a very bad portfolio because, I had my GCSE pottery in my portfolio. That was about it, right? But I went there with this passion to be creative and to be an entrepreneur and to embrace design and come with that with what I understood about manufacturing and some fundamentals of engineering. So essentially my pitch was, I think I was the most creative engineer at Cambridge. It's not that hard to be that, right? And then I could come to the RCA and I could be the most sort of, academic or feet on the ground person at the IDE course. And so I ended up doing what I wanted, which was to invent products. There was a whole load of products and different teams that I was in. I loved it. It was actually the most entrepreneurial environment I've ever been in. And we just made a lot of money winning competitions and grants because there were all these different corporate sponsored design competitions, and with the Imperial MBA course as well. The IDE course used to sweep up the awards because they didn't really have so many ideas.
Imperial and the RCA.
It was brilliant, and now it's really built on that. So so much more is happening from what was happening back in 2005. But that's where I discovered design. I really didn't know what it was. There was nobody in my world that did anything to do with design or entrepreneurship, and I loved it. I just absolutely landed on my feet, and so never looked back or applied for a job since then. Not that there's anything wrong with applying for jobs, obviously. So, but my design journey, or being I've not applied or been headhunted for a job. That is true. But anyway, I went down the design route as a means of becoming an entrepreneur and creating jobs for designers. That's what I'm most proud of.
That's amazing. I'm guessing that environment at the RCA particularly was really foundational for you. It
was. And actually, I look back at that, and it is what I am creating in Blue Garage. So we'll chronologically, I'll jump around.
So let's talk about your journey then with KwickScreen. So KwickScreen, was that born out of RCA?
Yeah, KwickScreen was my final year project.
Wow. Okay.
And I previously, in my first year, developed a product for hospitals with a needle safety device that stops somebody stabbing themselves with a needle, which in hospitals is a big problem. But as a result of that, I had spent a lot of time in hospitals. Also, my 2 siblings, brother-in-law, grandfather, doctors, and worked in the NHS. Me being the black sheep of the family, not being a doctor, maybe psychologically, subconsciously want to do something to help people. It's quite easy if you want to do something good, then working in healthcare is quite a, foolproof way to do something good, because you tend to improve people's lives directly. So, and opportunistically, it's not that hard to make hospitals, especially the NHS, better. If you want to go and find problems sitting in a hospital, there was a lot. So I had spent a lot of time in hospitals, seen lots of problems, chose the problem of isolating infected patients and the broader problem of curtains in hospitals being the area that I wanted to look at for my final year project, both because of everything I said. It was a big problem, something that I believed I could solve. And if I could solve it, then there's a viable business to be made, because people will always be ill and the NHS will keep spending for things. And if I can help them save money and make patients' experience better, there's a business there. So I set out to do that. And I gave myself, after doing research and, observing what goes on, my brief was bring isolation to the patient. Because what was happening, and this is 2006, MRSA was all in the Daily Mail and hospitals. The protocol was, if a patient is discovered to have MRSA, which sometimes happens a few days after they're in hospital, you move them to a side room. But in that side room is somebody who maybe has another infection or has another reason to be in a side room. So you end up shuffling patients around all over the place, and one of those patients is infected. So the last thing you want to do for them is shuffle them around. So I figured if I could have a way of isolating that patient where they are, to bring isolation to the patient, then they don't move, nothing changes, there's no stigma, and we can carry on. And then that led to one of the concepts was, well, how about a retractable see-through screen? You could bring it in and whoop, up you have a screen. And then I found the technology and I prototyped and I built a big see-through screen, and then I got funded by an NHS program to build a few of them, get trialed. It was very successful in the trial. I could sort of say the rest is history, but actually what happened is by the time we got that product manufactured, which took a long time and was very difficult because I was living in London, and in London there's not a lot of space, and the space to build product, and not a lot of resources to, I was out of university then. And even in university, it was difficult to build something that was large, because the workshops are small and there's a lot of people. So I was building a big screen. And so by the time I eventually got this product built and was selling it, there were a few infection control nurses that needed it and that understood the problem of isolating patients in a different way. But it was a pretty hard sell because they had to do things very differently. It was disruptive, I think, as you could say, with the practice of isolating patients. And infection control staff are good at saying no to things rather than yes to things. And that's the mindset. And most importantly, they had sort of solved the problem of MRSA. So I had developed a product for something that was no longer needed. So we ended up pivoting or changing and actually producing what you see behind me here, which is the same product, but instead of on a see-through screen, on a white screen with lovely prints on it. And we became the company that was helping solve mixed sex accommodation areas where you have men and women sharing wards, and just general space requirements in healthcare where you need to create extra spaces or change the space and bring nature and views into space and change not just the physical layout of the space, but also the environment. So a children's department that's becoming an adult's department and vice versa, with our hygienic, retractable, portable screens that were originally designed for isolating infected patients became very useful for reconfiguring healthcare environments. And we ended up selling to every NHS trust. And so that's when I can say, then the story continues from there. But those first 7 years were a very interesting period.
Absolutely. So, we're in a space now that's been created using obviously not a clinical setting.
You want to turn the camera? Can you do that or not? Which one?
Okay.
Turn my one.
I'll turn this one.
You can do it.
Oh, hang on.
I'll turn the thing. Here we go. So, no, it's not working. That's your one.
That's mine.
Oh, yeah, that's your one.
We'll take some photos.
We'll take photos, but we're surrounded by KwickScreens in the showroom of Blue Garage, and we've used KwickScreens to create the space, which is what we're meant to do. So it's basically, it isn't just for hospitals.
Yeah. In this space, it's basically the whole...
How do you want it? Did you like it?
That'll be fine. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll readjust. This whole space up here. The first time I came up here, I thought I'd come to the wrong place. I was there to meet the CEO, Alan. I thought, if they just moved in and taken over a clinic, because it does look, the reception area looks like a clinic. It's very nice. And then when I walked through, I was like, this makes sense. You've got different spaces staging the different use cases, and it's and you're talking about struggles of space, when you were starting off. Obviously now you've got this fantastic kind of building. It used to be a post office.
It was a Travis Perkins.
Yeah. See, they don't do small stuff.
38,000 square foot building on 3 floors. Every floor's got big concrete infrastructure. It is and with a 2-ton goods lift going up the middle. So we can turn this sort of peculiar building right in the heart of Lewisham, which is 10-minute train to London Bridge and central London, with beautiful views over southeast London, into the space that community resources that I always wished I had when we started KwickScreen and spun out of Innovation RCA and the little university ecosystem, and were then in the real world of renting industrial units and borrowing equipment. And it was just really, really hard. And I ended up commuting to Corby and back on a daily basis, or staying in the travel lodge in Corby every other day, because that was where we had a manufacturing partner, and they were very friendly and let me, basically, I built an R&D facility in the corner of their factory. But, given that my wife and my business partners and his wife didn't fancy moving out of London, it was pretty tough. What I didn't have in Corby was the amazing community and vibe and spirit that I had at the Royal College of Art. And so, you couldn't have it all. And as Michelle Obama would say, you can, just not at the same time. But you can now, because Blue Garage, what we're creating in Blue Garage is everything. Yeah. The community, the space, the resources, and all of that in London. So you're absolutely right.
And it's 10 years now, isn't it? Or this year.
Of what?
KwickScreen?
No, it's more than Quick. I mean, it's like the official, I think. But, so I don't know how many years that is. 16.
16 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
But it's, sounds like it's been one hell of a journey. So talk us through some of the key lessons then. Obviously, you just mentioned with KwickScreen's been going 16 years or so. Blue Garage is relatively new. I'm imagining you've put a lot of the lessons you've learned over the years. Very different business model, obviously, but still business is business. So what would you say have been some of the key challenges, learning points?
Well, I think that I've definitely put the two together, in the sense that, KwickScreen, 16 years, Blue Garage, 3 months. And the idea is that what we've learned through building KwickScreen is there for the people that are members of Blue Garage to benefit from. And so I've mentioned already that it was bloody hard and maybe stupid to have thought that I could start a hardware business in London with no funding and no access to a facility to manufacture it. And I massively underestimated how much time, money, effort, space, the number of prototypes it would take to eventually have a product that I could sustainably make and sell. And that essentially means be at a stage whereby I didn't have to both be the person selling it, be the person making it, be the person delivering it. Actually, to not be the person doing all of those things is just a huge amount of work. And if there's a 2-hour commute between each one of those locations, it becomes a huge amount of work and exhausting. And if you have to drink loads of coffee to stay awake on the motorway and then get home and get some sleep before waking up again, it was a coordination. Anyway, it's a challenge. And basically, so that's one of the biggest challenges. I don't think I needed, there was so much stuff that was available to me. There was PR, like I said, we won loads of awards. So we were on Sky News front page. It was completely irrelevant and unhelpful. I had mentorship and culture support for how to build an organization. Completely fucking irrelevant, because I didn't have a viable business at all. A culture is irrelevant when you are the person driving to make it, driving to deliver it, driving to pick it up and return it. Culture is irrelevant. Get the thing working. Culture comes when you've got a profitable business and employees and it's working. But to get the thing started, what I really needed was just space, Wi-Fi, a roof, and that's it. And it wasn't available. There was so much support available, but the actual thing that I needed wasn't available. So, the biggest lesson is that. And when I see startup product design entrepreneurs in the space that I was in, I know, I get it. I've been there. And just my garage is your garage. Come here, you do what you want to do and make the space that you need. I'm not going to tell you what you need. I'm not going to patronize. Just you have the resources, and the people that are resourceful, which, hardware entrepreneurs are often the exemplar of resourceful, just they lap it up and they make the most of it. So it's as simple as that, really.
Absolutely. I was at an event last night over at Battersea, hosted by Shark Ninja and Studio of Wood, and the founders that they had on the panel there were just incredibly inspiring, and the the hard work, the graft you have to put in those first few years, and the resilience to get over and understand that failure is part of kind of the journey. One lady, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, I'll put it in the notes, but she literally 3 years of being told no and applying for funding and grants and just being told no. And then it was like in year 4, someone said yes. And then that was it then. And kept going.
Well, I think, I wasn't particularly talented in any one area, but I am tenacious. So that suited me. And I don't want to equate myself to James Dyson. Well, I do want to, but it might not be appropriate. He's on another level. But what he says in his books, he wasn't the best runner, but he was just the last one to stop running. So therefore he became a long distance runner and figured, because everyone else is going to give up. And the same is true, so I think it's that maybe there is an element of that. There is also an element of, because I don't really advocate people to give up their life and keep going with the idea. I do think it is very important to listen and to actually solve a problem that people are telling you they need solving, rather than persistently, doggedly go with your idea. So it needs to be both. And I think that, I think I am actually good at listening to people, because I wasn't just selling this one idea, as I sort of explained. Originally it was for isolating affected patients, and then it became for privacy. And within the whole engineering of the product, how I thought it should be made at the start is not how it ended up being made. And that's only because I was constantly listening to, observing and understanding, and had an open mind consistently. So it's a mixture of those two things, an open mind and listening, and then the dogged persistence of pushing something through. That's the fun of, I think, lots of things in life, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have anyone on your journey that, was genuinely candid and honest with you and would say, I think you're going in the wrong direction, or, give you feedback which ultimately helped, but at the time might have, been a little bit kind of crushing?
Yeah, I think I am good at seeking feedback from all different sorts of people, and being like a sponge. And so some people immediately tell me what they think. Some people are quite nervous. They don't want to tell me because they don't want to upset me. Some people don't know what they think, and then I get them to think it, and then they tell me. I'm good at sucking ideas from other people, okay, and sitting with it and then making a decision. And that sometimes upsets the people that told me what to do, and I don't do what they told me to do. But I still appreciate them telling me, because that is another observation that I've got. And some people will say that, why am I acting like a therapist? Because I'm helping them to get their idea out. And it's not their idea, it's their experience or their insight or whatever it is. I think that's something that I am good at doing. And as a result, there's 100%, this whole thing is not my idea. It's a culmination of everybody else's ideas that I've sat with and then, helped shape. And actually, it's not been done by me either. There's a whole team that has built this business and building Blue Garage. I'm just sort of a hub in the middle of it all. But I think it's really important that from the two sides. One, now when I give advice to somebody, and people come, people will say, oh, you've been successful, you've done this, what advice have you got? So I don't ever give advice. I will only say what I've done. And then it's up to the other person to take that, because some people want to be told what to do and then they do it. And if it goes wrong, then it's on me. And also, if they're waiting to be told what to do, they've got the wrong mindset anyway, because this is an entrepreneurial journey. You really want to have your own conviction and make your own decisions. So I would never tell somebody what to do. And I hate environments that do that. And I have a bit of a thing about, entrepreneurial education, because by definition, it's not that, it's figuring it out. So that's why I love the experience of the RCA and the creativity and design is you don't tell somebody how to design, you teach them the skills to do it, and then they create their own designs. And I think the same approach is what is needed and what happens in good entrepreneurial businesses, where there is no entrepreneurial playbook. You figure it out, and it's always a blank page. And so I think that there's it's not really, I don't think it's explained, or ironically, obviously, it's never educated, because when you educate people on design, you end up systemizing it. I believe that there is huge opportunity to use design thinking, like intuitive understanding and listening to people, and design creativity and making things to make the world better. And people should just get on with it and stop discussing it and teaching it and just do it. And I think a huge part of that is being able to absorb lots of different things from different places, being able to daydream and come up with your own ideas, and helping other people to do all of those things, and then having the conviction to do something, have a strong opinion but hold it lightly and to keep that going for as long as you possibly can.
Absolutely, yeah. I think in my experience, the best coaches and consultants, they don't prescribe what to do. They don't tell anyone how to do things. They do offer their opinion. They offer their insight on what's gone before. But I think the best ones ask questions. They question why you're looking at it that way, why you're doing it, rather than prescribing it. And I think I'm a bit like you. I will go into a space. I always want to be not the stupidest person in the room, but I certainly don't want to be the smartest one in the room. I want to be surrounded by people who are.
No, you're in the wrong room here, then, aren't you?
I wouldn't say that, but in terms of the, I always want to be able to soak up kind of other people's energy, and not necessarily take their ideas, but it's like, how did they do that, and how can I implement that into, or some aspects of that into the way I do things to just be better? And it sounds like you're similar tracks there, different careers, but that's wonderful. So, the business starting off, there was two of you co-founded, was there, or yeah?
It was my invention, my student project, but I very quickly knew that I wasn't going to be able to make a success of this or get it off the ground on my own. So I was on the lookout for a co-founder, and my co-founder was on the lookout for a inventor, product, entrepreneur. Entrepreneurial. I think I think his words would be that, there's a lot of inventors out there. So he was like, hunting around the RCA to try and find, who's the next James Dyson. Unfortunately, all he got was me. But there weren't that many people that literally were receptive to working with a purely, or can I say, like a commercially minded person. It's this stupid idea of the word shark, as a shark, a suit. And I wanted that. That to me wasn't a foreign thing. I knew that I needed I also just didn't want to work on my own. I would go crazy. So yeah, we very quickly became 50-50 partners in this new business, KwickScreen.
And your skill sets complement each other in that respect then, in terms of, he's strong on the commercial side.
Well, I guess you had a chat with him earlier, yes, but really we both did everything. We both just got stuck in. It was founder mode for about 4 years of just however we could possibly get this thing off the ground, do whatever was needed. And so, yeah, he'd be driving around the Scooby van, which is what, the van. We had a van like that. We had a camper van, and in it was everything that we owned in terms of the KwickScreen production facility, and then bring that to any random space that we could find, be it the basement car park of my in-laws or Shepherd's Bush Market, where there was a sewing machine that was outdoors and thus big enough to sew the inners, or the factory in Corby, and then often to the delivery bay of a hospital. They couldn't believe that this rickety Scooby van would turn up with a hole, and out of it would jump two sales guys. They'd pull out a screen and be like, yeah, we're delivering your new hospital partition. And they thought that was very funny.
Did you have it painted like the mystery machine?
No, we didn't. No, we were very, we didn't do things unnecessarily. The only thing we painted was the product. Yeah. So no, it was I think his dad's old camper van. Anyway, and then one day, it was a very sad day, in absolute pouring down rain, going, I don't know, from some hospital in Manchester back to London, and it broke down, and we were on the side of the road in the rain, and we see Scooby being, taken off, and it definitely was never going to be worth a repair. So we knew that was the last that we would see of Scooby. So yeah, that's one day. We've got through a lot of vehicles, I think, because we would always have end of life vehicles, and we did a lot of miles. And in fact, yes, a pun from I think it was the only joke really in my TEDx talk of 2015, is that to start a business, you need a lot of drive, as you've identified. Yes. But for us, it was literally drive, because we drove I don't want to say the hardest thing, but one of the hard things was selling the product. And I'm proud to say we were selling it. We weren't doing user research design, but we were, but through selling it. Yeah. So I wasn't like, do you like it? What do you think? What's your experience of using it? I was really desperately trying to sell it. And the only way to sell it was to really understand the needs of the person, what is holding you back from paying for it. And that led to develop a product that, 100% it was user-centered design. It was a lean process, but it was 100% driven by the fact that we were completely bootstrapped. And so I needed that check from that nurse. That meant I drove around the country constantly to any hospital anywhere in the UK that would have me demonstrate the product and tell me what is holding them back from buying it. And then I would go to the factory and make that improvement essentially and keep that going until we had a product that they'd buy.
Where did you pick up that skill set then? So it's quite, I mean, that's
the skill set. I didn't let my school knock it out of me. I think it wasn't a skill set. It's just basically, I think a lot of young people have that like curiosity and tenacity, but a lot of the world is saying, no, sit still, be quiet and do what you're told. And thankfully they didn't crush it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think in terms of I'm interrupting this episode to share some exciting things happening around why design. At the core of this podcast are the incredible design journeys my guests have been on and where they're heading. And these journeys stem from the relationships they build, the communities they're part of, and the amazing achievements that come from collaboration. So beyond the podcast, we're hosting regular online huddles and quarterly meetups in the UK, with plans underway for an annual gathering in the US. We're also running hands-on workshops both in person at Makespaces and online to connect and inspire people in physical product development. So if you'd like to join us or stay in the loop about upcoming events, sign up at teamkodu.com/events or click the link in the show notes. Now, back to the episode. So let's talk about kind of the Blue Garage and the mission you're creating here. I know we've touched on it, but you know, it's been going 3 months, which seems bonkers, really, seeing how kind of you said earlier about half full. And when I came here back in December for an event, which is brilliant, by the way.
Then we were empty.
I think you
had
one person that signed up. So, so how challenging has that been then, kind of spreading the word or getting people kind of interested?
Yeah, like it's for people who come and see the space and are makers, they're like, wow, this is amazing. It is quite hard to get the word out. Hence why I need to go on podcasts for people that are in the product design community. And the benefit of what we've created is not just for the people of Lewisham, which I think a lot of co-working spaces are quite local. This is unique it's unique in Britain, but it's definitely unique in London. And Lewisham is accessible from all over London. I live in Finchley, so I'm commuting. It's only an hour and I can get the train from northwest London to southeast London, and it's a 10-minute walk to the station here. Yeah. It's super easy. So basically, for like a huge portion of London could easily get to this incredible facility, but it's quite hard. I can't just keep shouting on LinkedIn about it. Like, I want people to spread the word, to know that this exists and to come and like make use of what we've built, but more excitingly, build something within it. So when we started, there was no screen printing, textiles, a wet lab. These are all things that are not in my sphere of experience, but like there's people that are coming and they're like, I want to create that. I want to build that. And now that's being built in the space. So it is really a unique place where people who want to make things can make things big. It's a big space with a goods lift and a delivery bay and forklifts and the kind of thing that you don't get, even in universities, you don't get. And cross-collaborate with lots of other people making things in different industries and just be around people with a good energy, a good spirit of not just building products, but building businesses and building themselves and supporting each other. It really is everything that I had dreamt of. And now to be sort of halfway through filling it, there's still another half to go. And then I have ambitions that it keeps going and that this is something that like supports and enables makers to branch out of where they currently are and be able to achieve what they previously thought wasn't achievable.
Yeah. And what kind of, give us an overview of some of the members you have.
Yeah, exactly. Because a maker is quite a vague term and it can be all sorts. I mean, so right now, KwickScreen is essentially a significant member of the Blue Garage community, and it's the KwickScreen's resources that we're utilizing. But out of KwickScreen, there is a new product currently called QuickSwitch. This is a tech product. It's a film that you apply to a window, an internal window, like a glass partition, plug and play solution. Press a button and it goes see-through. Press a button, it goes opaque. And we can cut and do clever things in it as well. But essentially, we are enabling smart glass to be retrofitted into offices at a fraction of the cost of what it would historically cost if you wanted to put it between the glass. And anyway, I'm giving the whole sales pitch about QuickSwitch, which is a good thing because, you guys should go out and buy it and install it and invest as well. We're doing an SCIS round right now. But that is that is a kind of business here. There's also someone doing a automated store, so like a robotic vending machine, super clever, technical. There are gardeners here, and gardeners often are making stuff. So they're in the building. There's product design consultants who have based themselves here. Now they have this incredible workshop to be able to do their prototyping and 3D printing, furniture restorer, an architect, make models. So anybody that is, we call it the garage because I guess if you're lucky enough to have a house with a garage, you probably, and you're using that garage to make things in it, well, that's great. Our garage is 10 times, 100 times the size with loads more equipment, and not many people in London have that capability. So this is your garage, and in it you can make whatever you want. And we also have, this is the thing that makes us really quite unique. There is a production facility on the ground floor. So as a result of KwickScreen having its own production capability, we have a 3 meter by 2 meter CNC router. We have a 3 meter by 2 meter rotating bed Zund. There's only one other of them in the country, which is in McLaren, I think. Anyway, it's amazing. Yeah. For people that know what a Zund is, it's a CNC cutter. For those that don't, if you've ever had to cut something by hand with a scalpel, which most product designers have done, now you can put it into this machine and it does it at an industrial scale. So either if it's a small batch prototyping or it's a short run of production, it can all be done downstairs very easily. And we have large format printing capabilities with a 3 meter by 2 meter flatbed UV printer and a 3 meter wide roll-to-roll UV printer. It's opens up the opportunities for people that are prototyping to prototype at scale, to prototype rapidly, and people that are in small batch production, they can use this resource downstairs to, if it's not make the whole product, maybe it's just make their custom printed packaging. We can do that downstairs with the benefit of having a delivery bay and logistics that we have, to hand, a van, parking spaces, all these things we're sharing in the shared economy to enable other people to scale their businesses.
That's awesome. And I know I've mentioned I've been to one event here. I think you've had another one since then. You do workshops as well for the founders here and I guess the wider community. What things have you got on the horizon in the next few months that you can talk about?
Space Invaders event on, I think it's the 6th of March. And that is for, when is this going out? How quick are you? How quick's your turnaround?
So that will have happened.
You guys missed it. It was amazing. Shit, man. We'll have to do another one.
So let's talk.
Beyond that.
Imagine you've already done it.
It was amazing. Fast forward. Well, the plan is, what we have discovered, I guess a lot of what I've been talking about is startup companies, hardware startup companies. Yeah. Okay, that's great. That's what KwickScreen is, and QuickSwitch is, and Staxel, the automated retail. But there is a lot of people who are the profile of people that love this building who are working on their own, and they're freelancers. And there's lots of freelancer creative makers who, don't have access to equipment and aren't part of a community and would just love to be collaborating and around people making things in completely different industries. So, and what we have in our co-working space are private studios for 2 to 6 people. And we have a shared open co-working space. And what we've discovered is that a lot of people want to be in a smaller studio where they can lock the door, not like a big open plan WeWork. That's good for some people, but for some, maybe they've got expensive things and they need a bit of space. And they just like to have the semi-privacy. I know that's what I would like. Or they're quite noisy, so they don't want to be in a big open plan space. But they're working on their own. So the Space Invaders event is in partnership with Shapes Lewisham, which is supporting creative freelancers in the Lewisham area, to be like a speed dating event, to come and meet other freelancers, a bit like if you wanted to flat share, but you are new to London. So, and you meet the other people and you go, do you know what? Let's the 5 of us get together and rent that studio. It's more cost effective as well, because you're there as a group renting a studio. Flat share is cheaper than having a studio flat, and it's nicer. So, and you can create those micro communities inside the bigger community of Blue Garage. So that's one event. And that is also a shout out to, I guess, your audience, because there might be people who are, maybe they've got their own product design company, it's small, and they both want to be around other people and also have access to the workshops. So, no product design consultancy in London has anything like the resources that we've got in our workshops. So bring your consultancy here and you will have the best resources and capabilities of anybody and be able to pitch for, much bigger and ambitious projects than you currently can do with your small workshop.
Absolutely. So not only are you creating an awesome space here, you're spreading out into a network of smaller spaces as well. So that's awesome. And I'm jumping around a little bit here, but I want to go back to something you mentioned when you were starting off with KwickScreen. It was just the two of you for, 4 years, was it? Just the two of you? Or when
just two of us? I don't know. I have to say, it was never just the two of us. I was always had people helping me. Be that my father-in-law, my co-founder's father, my dad. That was the help the aged, and they were willing to give up their time. So anyway, we always had like a little team of people because it was a hard thing to do on our own. But yeah, officially it was two of us. I don't know when our first employee was, but the interesting thing is the early employees and even interns have gone on either to, well, one is now the CEO of KwickScreen. So that is a lovely story. I think he's a good person. He's quite a busy guy, but if you can get him, the story of like, and I don't know whether he would like this, turn to CEO. And he is responsible for the significant growth that the company has experienced, to be able to have executed what he did. So he's neither of the two co-founders. He came on, he was involved in these super early days and then took on the reins of the business later on and is now running it and growing it such that I can, do other fun stuff like Blue Garage. But yeah, lots of other people that have been involved in the company at different stages are either still in the company doing wonderful things and or have started their own companies and done entrepreneurial things, many of a, greater level of success than I've yet achieved. And it's amazing to see. So there's something about the, maybe we were good at recruiting. Maybe there was like just the good energy has like rubbed off on people and vice versa. It's just amazing. There's the PayPal mafia. There's the KwickScreen mafia. There is a lot of amazing people that have been through. And we want to now expand that to take that energy and that spirit and that is infused throughout the whole Blue Garage community as well.
It must be so rewarding, especially seeing
to see your previous employees be so successful. It's
a great mindset, though, isn't it? Because
of course it is.
Really, if someone's going off and doing great things, you've done a great job as a leader there to enable them to do that. Assuming they leave for good reasons, and it's positive. But I mean, the story about Alan, the intern to CEO, that's fantastic. How did that feel? Once you handed over the reins, so to speak, you're still actively involved, but as someone that's chief executive, they're one in charge of the day-to-day business now. So giving up your baby, I think even managers, the best managers have to let go of stuff that they love doing at some point because they need to spend time managing. How was that for you?
Well, no, you got it the wrong way around, you see. So it was the opposite. I could let go of the stuff I didn't like doing so I could do more of the stuff I did like doing.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I actually, for me, it depends. There's always two sides to something and you can choose which side to look at. So I've given up control. Oh, this is my baby. How dare you? That's one voice. And the other voice is, wow, you do all of that in like a fraction of the time that I could ever do it. And I hated doing it. And you're really good at doing it. And now the business is really successful and the staff are happier because they got clarity and all the things that I'm not good at doing. Well, that's good because not only was I not good at it, but I didn't enjoy doing it. And it was really important. And whilst it was on my to-do list, it wasn't being done well. And the business was suffering as a result. So if somebody else can do that and can enjoy doing it, then that actually at some point will enable me to do more of what I enjoy doing or what I'm good at doing. And so I really believe that from my perspective, it's all about finding your sweet spot and helping other people find their sweet spot. And by, that bit where I am good at and the world needs and I can add value, that's like a life's work. And it's interesting because you mentioned these other startups that I've been involved in, but I feel that Blue Garage is it really is that for me right now. Like everything that I've done in manufacturing and design and product development and startup business and then scale up a business, like it's all in Blue Garage. And what I love is supporting other people and helping other people and connecting what I can with other people and encouraging them to be successful is what Blue Garage is all about.
That's awesome. And at what point did you realise that Alan could do all that?
When someone's juggling and you're like, wow, look at you can juggle 3. And then you're like, what happens if I throw this one? Well, you can juggle 4. Wow, I could just do 2. And what about this one? Oh yeah, what point? I don't know. Oh no. It was this was years, right? Yeah. We were, and it wasn't like me to Alan. There was myself and Dennis. And so we were like 7 years doing everything. And then,
Alan could be the guy.
Well, I guess we were learning together what we can do and what we can take on. But there's a difference between being like a chaotic, creative, all energy founder and being somebody that can run and scale a professional business. There's two very different mindsets. And so there's a real strength in having different skills and approaches, and what a business needs at different stages is very different. My approach, my skills are at that early stage. And that's fine.
Yeah, a lot of founders I speak to, especially in consultancy as well as kind of manufacturing founders, they like starting stuff, but then when it actually comes to finishing stuff, that's when they need some support. And if you can enable that, you're involved in starting lots of little things now, aren't you, with the Blue Garage?
Blue Garage is one big thing, helping starting lots of little things that will eventually be massive things.
That's awesome.
So that's what it is.
Well, I think we're just about kind of coming to time, but we've talked about where you've been, where you are now, and what Blue Garage is becoming and the community there. What else have we got in store this year then? What are you excited about?
Well, the Blue Garage is half full, which means it's also half empty, which means that I'm so excited for what...
You're definitely a half full guy, aren't you?
I'm a half full guy, but I'm excited for what is going to go in that, second half, and all the new people that I've not yet met, and all the businesses and products and projects are going to come out of, what we are still building here. And I'm sure once we're full, we will then keep growing and keep doing more things. And I also want to know what product designers want. And if it isn't what we've got, come and tell me, like I said, I'm a sponge, and figure out if we can make that. Because this, there is still a lot of room to take this in various directions and add to it. And 1 + 1 = 3 in my head. I want just people, and the best thing, well, initially watch some Instagram videos of the space so you get a good idea, but ideally come and visit. Come to one of our events. There's lots of events. Look on the website, or just come and have a tour, or come and give me a call and talk to me about it. I'd love to, see how I can help. This is built for product designers to take what they're doing to another level. So if that's what you want, then get in touch.
We'll put all the links in the show notes when I promote it on LinkedIn, or connect to the account, and so people know where to come. But Michael, despite the technical issues we've had, I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Why Design. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review wherever you're listening. It really helps others discover the podcast. And while you're at it, why not share it with a friend or colleague who'd enjoy it too? If you'd like to stay connected or explore more about the work we're doing at Kodu, feel free to visit teamkodu.com or connect with me, Chris White, on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.